My quest to switch to private, open, responsible technologies continues. If you want to know more about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, check out my introductory video to this series. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing your options for choosing a privacy-respecting, open source, and responsibly manufactured smartphone. I'll give an overview of your best choices and then unbox my choice, the Fairphone 4. When it comes to choosing a smartphone, your main choices are what hardware you want and what software you want. It's up to you what you want to prioritize, but I humbly suggest that the software choice should be your first one. After all, the operating system your phone runs will determine the features and capabilities you have at your disposal, and more importantly, which and how many apps you can use on your device. When it comes to open source smartphone operating systems, there are two main choices. One, of course, is Android. Although there are quite a lot of Google proprietary software and manufacturer bloat on your typical Android phone, the core system itself, as well as the basic applications, are open source. Your other option is a Linux-powered smartphone. Not like Android, which uses a modified Linux kernel and has its own ecosystem of apps, but rather a full-blown Linux system, which is running on a phone instead of your laptop. This would be able to run standard Linux applications, ideally customized to fit better into a smaller screen and with touch input. I like to call this latter category pure Linux phones. Speaking of pure Linux phones, the Librem 5 by Purism is a flagship class fully Linux-powered phone. Purism is a Linux hardware manufacturer which specializes in providing a hardware ecosystem for Linux, with a focus on privacy and security. The Librem 5 runs Pure OS, a free, ethical, and open source operating system built on Linux. Hardware-wise, it features a 5.7-inch 1440p IPS display, a quad-core ARM CPU, 3 GB of RAM, 32 GB of internal storage, a micro SD port, Bluetooth 4, rear and front cameras at 13 and 8 megapixels respectively, and a 4500 mAh battery. Wait, quad-core? 3 gigs of RAM? 32 GB internal storage? Bluetooth 4? I thought you said this was a flagship. How much does it cost? $1,199. And there's currently a 1-year wait time. You see, whilst the Librem 5 is available for sale to the general public, it's not intended as a daily driver. Instead, it's more of a proof of concept showing that it is possible to run a pure Linux operating system on a smartphone, which is also secure and repairable. To that end, the Librem 5 features a user-replaceable battery, which is rare in a phone nowadays, and also hardware kill switches which can physically disconnect Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cell signal, microphone, and camera, which is unheard of. The Librem 5 serves as a platform for forward-looking developers to get their apps ready for a Linux ecosystem. But using it, or a device like it, as your daily phone may still be years away. Pine64 is another Linux hardware manufacturer with a mission statement similar to Purism. Their aim is to manufacture devices running Linux, not some stripped-down mobile version of Linux, but full mainline Linux, on a repairable and ethical hardware. Pine64's flagship is the PinePhone Pro. The Pro features a 6-core CPU, quad-core GPU, 4 GB of RAM, 128 GB of internal storage with expansion capabilities, a 6-inch 1440p Gorilla Glass 4 display, 13 megapixel rear and 5 megapixel front camera, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 4, as well as a 3000 mAh battery. Like the Librem 5, the PinePhone Pro also features hardware kill switches for camera, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, microphone, LTE, and headphones. The one killer feature of the PinePhone Pro is the price though, featuring hardware better or at least on par with the Librem 5, The Pro comes in at just $399. This is really a pretty good value considering what you're getting. By default, the system comes with Manjaro Linux and runs the KDE Plasma environment, but this is just a default. Users of the Fairphone are not only encouraged, but expected to try out different Linux distributions and front ends for the phone. One thing I like about Fairphone is how upfront they are. Reading from their product website, we're not in the business of selling empty promises. A much faster mainline Linux smartphone won't make the existing operating systems more refined, nor will it magically spawn software replacements for your iOS or Android applications. There is a long road ahead of us, all of us, and it will require time and effort for the software to reach a degree of maturity that would satisfy mainstream users. If you depend on proprietary mainstream mobile messenger applications, banking applications, use loyalty or travel apps, consume DRM media, or play mobile video games on your Fruit or Android smartphone, then the Fairphone Pro is likely not for you. The statement on Pine64's website really echoes the state of pure Linux phones today in 2022. Whilst the Linux ecosystem has made great strides forward and dedicated Linux hardware manufacturers, something previously unheard of, now exist, there is still a long road ahead before you can replace your daily driver with a pure Linux phone. I hope that in the not too distant future, I'll be able to have a powerful, pure Linux phone running a mainline Linux distribution with support for all the apps I need in my back pocket. But not right now. So until then, what's the alternative? Android is an open source operating system based on a modified version of the Linux kernel. However, on top of Android, Google adds several proprietary apps, powering things like the Google Play Store, Maps, Drive integration, and more. Worse than those apps being proprietary, though, is the fact that your phone is constantly spying on you. Research shows that your phone pings Google 90 times an hour whilst it's active, sending as much as 11.6 megabytes of data per day. Whilst inactive, your phone still pings Google around 40 times an hour, sending 4.4 megabytes of data per day back to the big G. And that's just a stock Android installation. Bloatware added by manufacturers, as well as stuff you install yourself, only adds to that total. Luckily, there is an alternative. EOS is a de-Googled version of Android. Developed by the E Foundation, a non-profit organization, E removes Google as the default search engine on the phone, replaces Google services with micro G, removes all connectivity checks to Google servers, and much, much more. Now, I'm not going to be diving into E in this video, as I'll save that for a comprehensive review once I've had more experience with it. However, the upshot is that when choosing a phone, I have to choose one which is compatible with E, so I can install it later. E can be installed on a smartphone by following instructions specific to many phone models. The E website maintains a list of supported models with information about the level of support. However, for the best experience, E also offers an easy installer for a limited number of phone models. As you can see here, the list of devices supported by the installer is small. You'll also notice that many of these devices aren't exactly new or flagship phones, which is probably something you want if you're in the market for a new phone. However, there is a new, privacy-respecting and ethically manufactured phone that might just fit the bill, and one which E is actively working on supporting with their easy installer, the Fairphone 4. Fairphone is a social enterprise which aims to build products which respect people and respect the environment. Their practices include creating products which last a long time, reducing e-waste, choosing responsibly sourced and recycled materials, and ensuring suppliers provide workers with a decent wage and working conditions. Launched in 2013, Fairphone has launched 4 smartphone models, with the Fairphone 4 being their latest product launched in October 2021. The Fairphone 4 features a 6.3-inch Full HD display powered by a Qualcomm Snapdragon 750G processor. It is available with either 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gig of internal storage, or 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of internal storage. Camera-wise, we find two dual 48 megapixel cameras at the back and a 23 megapixel selfie camera with HDR support. The phone has a dual SIM 5G slot, USB Type-C charging, a fingerprint sensor, Bluetooth 5.1, NFC, and is backed by a 3900 mAh battery. Currently, the Fairphone 4 ships with Android 11. However, more than technical specs, the environmental specs of the Fairphone 4 are where it impresses. The phone features a 5-year warranty, sources Fairtrade Gold, and is electronic waste neutral. Moreover, the phone comes with an easily replaceable everything, not just the battery, but every component of the phone, making repairs trivial. In fact, the phone scores a 10 out of 10 in the iFixit repairability score. So, this is the box the Fairphone 4 comes in. You can see that it has 5G support right here, written on the box. On the back there is this bespeckled pattern, and actually a special edition of the phone is available on the Fairphone website that uses this pattern. The idea here is that the back of the phone is made from ocean plastic, recycled ocean plastic. And you have the Fairphone details here. This is actually a preview of the color that I got. It's available in other colors, of course. And of course, you can only assume that this is made of recycled material here. So I'm going to go ahead and open the internal box. As you can see on the internal box, it says change is in your hand, and nothing interesting here. So I guess I'll go ahead and open this guy. And here we are, built to last. And here you get some features of the design of the phone. First of all, it's modular. It's very easy to replace any component of this phone. It has an extended warranty, 5 years in fact, long-term software support, and it's easy to repair. And it says a better phone is a phone made better. I guess that makes sense. And again, more information here. The phone uses fair and recycled materials. Workers have good working conditions, and it's electronic waste neutral. And in here is the main event. Okay, now besides the phone, which actually, as you can see here, says sustainable, long-lasting, fair, you'll notice there isn't really much else in the box except a quick start guide. So yeah, a quick start guide here. Let's just see what this looks like. This is basically essentials. You'll notice that it doesn't include a charging cable or a charging brick. Again, this is because they assume you already have that, although they do sell those extras separately on their website. About their program to recycle old phones, and I guess some more and a visual guide here about how to open the back cover, which, as you can see, can be done totally toollessly, and how to replace the battery, where to insert the SIM and the micro SD slot. It takes a nano SIM or an eSIM. Where to put the charging cable, and an overview of the buttons. You'll notice that it has the fingerprint sensor built into the button, as you can see here. And that's basically it. And this is just some health and safety crap that they must include. So that's basically the contents of the box. Now, looking at the phone, it has one of these paper wrappers, which are really popular nowadays, since these are apparently recyclable. So I'm going to go ahead and slide it out. Here we go. And there it is. Now you'll notice here that it is pretty much a pane of glass. There is a teardrop here for the camera. This is the color I was talking to you about. Okay, and yes, it is a plastic back. There's no wireless charging here, but it does feel really good. I'm also surprised with the heft of the device. You know, it has some weight to it, which personally I appreciate. I know there are some people who prefer light phones, but I'm not particularly one of them. Here on the side, you can see the volume up and volume down buttons, as well as the power button, which also doubles as a fingerprint sensor. On the bottom is the USB-C charging port. On the other side here, you'll notice that there is this orange highlighted part here, and this is where you can open the back of the phone. We haven't seen that on phones in a while. Here you can see the two 48 megapixel cameras with the flash as well, and there is obviously here the selfie camera on the front. And I'm just going to go ahead and open this thing. Okay, not the first thing I normally do with a phone, but you know, this is kind of meant to do this. So let's see how easy it actually is. Now I've just cut my nails, so to be fair, this is the hardest it's ever going to be. And I can just, brand new phone, nails cut, trying to work inside a tiny light box while making sure the phone stays on camera. There we go. And all right. There we go. Okay, so those are the internals of the phone. You'll notice that it has a very modular design. So this is the battery here, which is replaceable. This is where you would put in the SIM card, and this is where you would put the micro SD expansion. I got the one which has 256 gigs internally, so it should be good for a while. And this one also comes with 8 gigs of RAM. It's also available with 128 gig internal with 6 gigs of RAM. And as you can see, there's the speaker and charging module here, the camera and top speaker module here. It's all modular, so if something goes wrong with the phone, it will be relatively easy to get a replacement from Fairphone's own website and then replace basically the part that you need rather than throwing away the whole phone. So I'm not actually going to install anything yet. However, I am going to show you removing the battery, which again is done toollessly. However, you do need to have some nails for this part. So I'm just going to quickly rotate. And as you can see, there you go. Battery comes out just like that. And again, you have labeled here the SIM slot and the micro SD slot. So I'm going to go ahead and put the battery back in its place here. And I'm also going to replace the back cover. There are snaps along the edges and you just push them down. And now let's go ahead and boot this guy for the first time. Okay, now the phone ships with Android 11. Which is not going to have a very long life on my particular phone, since I fully intend to replace this with EOS. However, for now, to get started a little bit, I will show you what it looks like. Okay, so we got an interesting introductory animation here. Okay, I'll just go through the initial setup. Now, at this point, I am going to sign in with my Google account just because I need to download some stuff like a camera app and some sort of benchmark. However, again, this will all be nuked once I install EOS. So we're at the pin setup stage here. Touch the fingerprint sensor. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Lift, then touch again. Okay, fingerprint added. And here we are with the phone set up. Now another test I like to do is how fast is the fingerprint sensor. Let's see here. All right, let's try that again. So now, yeah, that's pretty fast. That's a decent fingerprint sensor there. Now you'll notice that right out of the bat, besides the wallpaper, this looks like a stock Android installation. We'll go ahead and open the app drawer here, and you can see that the only apps installed are those that you would find on a stock phone. So if you intend to keep this, that's nice. This phone also gets updates for the long term, which is great because you'll get newer versions of Android, security updates, patches, and so on. Although it has a pretty nice display, there is a rather large bezel here at the bottom. Okay, the ones on the sides are okay. The teardrop I don't particularly mind. This one here, of course. But it does have a pretty large bezel here at the bottom. Now, looking at media playback, I'm just going to go to YouTube here. And I'm going to go ahead and search for a 4K HDR 60 FPS movie. Here we go. And here we are. So this looks pretty decent, at least from my viewpoint, and I can zoom it into fill. And as you can see, when zoomed into fill, again, it's a pretty nice viewing experience. However, this bezel here that is now on the side is pretty noticeable. But other than that, looks very, very clear, nice visuals, really nothing to complain about. Yes, so it does have stereo sound. You can clearly, very clearly hear sound coming out of the bottom firing speaker as well as the top one. Although I must say that the bottom one is much louder, so I guess the whole point of the stereo sound is, you know, it's not going to be balanced. What you were hearing was the loudest it could go. So this is the sound of my voice, and that's the loudest it will go. Okay, it's not super loud, but it is loud enough. Okay, so let's test the camera here. So I'm going to take one shot outdoors and another one indoors. So I'm going to take a photo of a mug I recently got from my wife, and I'm going to take this, okay, in the default stock mode, and that's one. And I'm also going to now focus on the mug itself, and that's another. Now the modes available here are panorama, high pixel, slow-mo, time-lapse, super night vision mode, as well as some sort of pro mode where you can set your own settings. There doesn't seem to be a portrait mode here. Let's go ahead and take a photo with the selfie camera. Okay, and that's what that looks like, as you can see here. The quality is decent. However, the skin tones are rather exaggerated. Now again, this is probably a software thing, but zooming in, you can really see that there's something a bit weird about the skin here. That being said, it is a very detailed photo. Now let's look at some outdoor shots. This is a shot of a landscape. Okay, this is taken with the Fairphone 4. This same shot was taken with an iPhone 12 Pro Max. And here we can compare the shots together. And this is some footage recorded using the selfie camera. I think this looks pretty good, but of course I'll need to see it in post. And this will also give us the opportunity of testing what the microphone sounds like. So yeah, hi there. Here you can see some Geekbench results. As you can see, we got a 621 single core score and a 1720 multi-core score with all of the details here for you people who are interested in that. Now, if we compare this in the single core, you'll see this device gets a 621, which is close to a Xiaomi Redmi K20, a little bit less than a Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. So yeah, it's not bad, considering that these phones up here are, of course, extremely expensive. Multi-core is a different story. You can see that it does lag behind, obviously, from the flagship phones, putting it somewhere around, again, a Pocophone F1 and again the Redmi K20 Pro. So that's approximately the performance you should be expecting from this thing. Now, these are of course synthetic tests, so can you actually play games on the thing? That's why I've installed Asphalt Legends here, which should be somewhere here. So, that's the Fairphone 4. I'm quite happy with it so far, but of course I've only used it for a few days at this point. As soon as EOS is available for the Fairphone, I'll be installing it to make the ethical nature of the phone's hardware match the phone's software. Make sure you like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified when I upgrade to EOS and for more videos in the sports series. If you'd like to help to keep this series and this channel going, then please consider subscribing to me on Patreon, like these wonderful people on screen now. Your support makes a huge impact and helps me to buy the stuff I review in these videos, which take a lot of time and effort to make. You'll also get early access to videos, the ability to suggest video topics, an exclusive Patreon chat room, and even technical support. Also, remember Tech Guru is on Odyssey, where you can watch all my videos outside of YouTube. I hope you've enjoyed this unboxing, and until next time, thanks for watching.